Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Shake and Bake F1 podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Huff, joined as always by my co-host, RJ McCullough. Now, it's been a little bit since we've uploaded a regular episode. It's been a little bit chaotic for me and RJ. Even right now, my AC is broken. So, it's a miracle I'm not just drenched in sweat right now. But a little bit of change that we're going to be bringing to the show. If you're a regular listener, usually we upload sort of middle of the week. But since we've sort of taken a break, we've kind of reevaluated, and we are now going to be doing our best to record right after a Grand Prix and then posting hopefully same day, if not the next morning. So that's what we're doing right now. The Miami GP just ended, and I'm talking 15 minutes ago it ended. And RJ, I'm going to let you go ahead and start because we just need to get these initial reactions out of the way, because for me it was a lot. For you, what was running through your head?
Well, I'm just going to say it. Lando Norris.
Yes.
Is an F1 Grand Prix winner. We have waited a long time for this. 110th race. He had so many chances. You go back to Russia, I think it was 2021, when the rain came out, and he just couldn't stay out there long enough to hold the lead. And so many chances. I think he has the most podiums of anyone without a win prior to today. So, that was just great to watch. It put a big smile on my face. I don't think any F1 fan watching that couldn't have been happy. That was kind of going into the day just thinking, oh, here we go, another Max Verstappen win. And then right off the start, I don't know, I know you kind of tuned in a little bit late. You were going to watch back, but you happened to actually just catch it live, which was good. But off the beginning, I don't know if you saw the beginning, Checo almost took out Max in the first turn. But then in Max, there was kind of a battle for second and third there, but it looked like Max was just going to pull away. Mm-hmm. Maybe he was a little bit, but then we had that safety car. And you can say there's a little bit of luck there, but the pace difference that Lando pulled out at the end over Max was really great to see. Max made his fair share of mistakes in the race too. So
sure,
we can get into the actual ins and outs of the race itself. But for an F1, as an F1 fan, that's we've gone through the slog of just watching some pretty boring races. If we're being honest, we've had some tough weekends, but we've never given up on the sport. We're not going to, and that was really nice. Just really nice, really happy to see that. Really kind of a heartwarming moment, really, when he crossed the finish line. His reaction, his team reaction, the podium, just all around great stuff. What was going through your mind?
I completely agree with you. I do feel like at least the majority of Formula One fans were all McLaren fans today, or at least Lando fans, because just the excitement, seeing the excitement on the team's face was just really endearing, and it just made me really happy. Obviously happy for Lando, but I know what this means to Zach Brown, to their team principal, Stefano, I believe that's how you pronounce his first name, but he's, and that last lap when they cut to the McLaren garage, and it looked like every single team member was packed in there, just all holding each other and just waiting for that last lap to end. So it was so exciting. But yes, like you said, I was going to be starting the race a little bit over an hour late, and I was just going to sort of watch with the delay started over. But unfortunately, as soon as I played it, it jumped to the beginning, and the safety car had just ended, and I saw that Lando was leading, and I was like, I can't start this over, which I'm very glad I didn't, because seeing that live, I do think I'm going to look back on that and just be very grateful that I got to witness that. Like some of the moments that we both got to watch, like Brazil 2021, I'm just throwing things out there. There's just moments that you're happy you got to witness. And this was one of them. And Lewis, Max, the Ferrari guys, everybody, that victory lap when they passed him and were waving or clapping, that just I had the biggest grin on my face. I was so happy about that. So yeah, very, very excited. And yeah, it wasn't the most entertaining race of all time, but gosh, it was a breath of fresh air. And like you said, the pace difference, I feel like everybody was kind of dealing with different issues. It feels like certain Mercedes and maybe Aston Martin, they start out a little bit slower. Maybe when they have a full fuel load, their tires just kind of suffer a little bit more. But I don't know. It just felt like, even Mercedes started to look good towards the end there, relatively speaking, of course. But yeah, I was super excited, and a little disappointed in Checo. Obviously, that move in the beginning. Imagine I mean, Lando still might have gotten the win, but just if Sergio had taken out Max, it would have really, really been just like the most wild GP of all time.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I would have loved to have seen that. Just would have been like total chaos right at the start. And it kind of still was. I mean, we had like Oscar Piastri got in second for a little bit there. And then I don't know, he had kind of a bit of a tough race today. There was kind of a funny moment near the end when Oscar was kind of battling for, I don't know, like 12th or whatever. And then they came on the radio and they're like, Oscar, Lando's winning the race. Do not cause a safety car.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good. And then Albon went off like with like 5 laps left. And I think everyone was like, no.
Yes,
no safety car.
Me and my sister were like, no.
Yeah, that would have just been the worst thing ever. But even going back a little bit earlier in the race, like Red Bull just didn't really have it today. I mean, obviously we had Checo, lap 1, turn 1, but Max, like I think it was lap, I don't know, 2021, just like cutting the chicane. I don't know if you would have seen this, but it was like a couple laps for the safety car. He like cut a chicane, knocked over what they call it, like a bollard or something.
Yeah,
there's a little virtual safety car. Then he was complaining about like oversteer, understeer. Couldn't turn the car properly. Like Checo finished, I think, 5th. So second and 5th overall. Not like for any other team, that's a good weekend. But for Red Bull, not a great weekend. I think this is the first time Max hasn't won in Miami and hasn't won in the US in a long time. So
yeah, he's been on a crazy
streak.
streak.
Nice to see.
Oh yeah, for sure. I totally agree with you. Honestly, I was shocked. I felt like Lewis was gonna get Checo, but obviously it didn't come together because I was watching Lewis's onboard for a little bit, and he would get up to Sergio, but then they would like take a bend, and then Sergio would just get on the accelerator a little bit before Lewis. And I mean, by the time Lewis is able to manage to get close enough to maybe make a pass, it's time to brake and then hit the corner. So the Red Bull definitely excels when it comes to like acceleration and straight line speed. So the Mercedes just really had no shot. If maybe it had been Carlos in front of him and Lewis was in DRS range for quite a few laps. So, and I know Lewis was also probably being careful to not mess up his and Checo's and Lando's race. So that was disappointing, but I do think Mercedes did somewhat turn around just because their sprint performance was kind of abysmal, but today they looked really good, and it's clear their race pace is definitely stronger than their qualifying pace. So I do think that's kind of a plus for them just because they've kind of looked bad across the board, but there's definitely some upside to their car recently. And Aston Martin, though, on the other hand, if you look at Alonso's time from qualifying this year and yet last year, he's over a second slower. So it's just like, what are they doing? What are they doing over there? Lawrence just can't put more money into it. I mean, what's going on?
Yeah, I don't think money's a problem. I don't know really what's gone on. It's and with the Mercedes thing, it's a bit of a double-edged sword because, there seemed to be, in qualifying especially, there seems to be a definite gap that Mercedes is the 4th fastest now, Aston Martin's the 5th. But with McLaren, that upgrade they brought this weekend, obviously it's great. We didn't really get to see it in the sprint with Lando because he got taken out. But now it's Red Bull is still obviously the fastest car. McLaren seems right up there with Ferrari now at this point. We ahead of them. I guess we'll find out in a couple of weeks in Imola. But now there seems to be, I'm still not going to say 3 teams like parked together at the top. It's still Red Bull 1, and then 2 and 3 is kind of his upper grabs now. So it is a little disappointing, quite disappointing as a Lewis fan for his last year at Mercedes. That it really doesn't look like they're going to have any chance to actually win a race this year for Lewis to go out with any race wins in his last few years at Mercedes. So that's kind of disappointing. But I mean, for the rest of the sport, it's exciting to just have. And again, it could just go back to Red Bull domination the rest of the year. But at this very moment in time, it is nice to have at least the discussion of there's McLaren close the gap. Is they ahead of Ferrari? Is there something there? And then, yes, I know there was a safety car and everything, but seeing him pull out 7, 8 seconds, whatever, on Max on fresher tires, sure. But that was very nice to see.
He finished the race over 11 seconds ahead of Max, and that was something I was talking about with my sister who watched a bit of the race with me towards the end. I did think it was kind of wild, and I don't know if this is reflecting like McLaren's like real race pace or if they just like had a perfect setup or whatever the case may be. But Leclerc in P3 was sticking between like 2 and 3 seconds of Max for 15 plus laps, while Lando was consistently extending his lead. So it's like he wasn't, and especially with Max behind you, like that was just crazy to me, just that it kept extending it, because I'm just so used to, because this has happened a couple of times where Max just finds himself, in second or third or fourth, but you just know, you see that gap just instantly shrink, but it just didn't ever happen. And that just is so strange to me, especially, with the last 2 or 3 years. It's just bonkers. And it was really, really exciting to see. And it really sucks that Oscar, I don't know, I need to watch that back because it happened very quickly. I do think it was more on signs, but whatever the case may be, it sucks that his race was ruined. And he even went from, with the 2 DNFs, 18th to, I believe, 12th in like 11 laps or something like that. So even with the team telling him to cool it and to not make any risky moves. So props to him. But yeah, very disappointing. I just hope that they have similar pace in Imola, because it is going to be a spicy, spicy season. If this is any indicator, it just feels that like I just hope it's not like 2022 and we had like 2 or 3 really, really exciting races just in a period, and then it's just boring the rest of the time. Like, I just hope we don't have this little bit and then the rest of the season is just like, oh, whatever. But I don't think that's going to be the case, at least as bad.
We can only hope. We deserve it. As F1 fans, we've waited long enough. We deserve some sort of battle. And if I remember correctly, Sainz and Piastri were kind of battling down the long straight, and then Sainz kind of braked a little bit late, or locked up a little bit, and then when they turned, I think Piastri's front end kind of hit Sainz's car and got some damage. So yeah, it was kind of a disappointing end to what was, well, not end, but disappointing way for his race to kind of get dismantled there. There's a couple other things maybe aside from, obviously the biggest story is Lando, but a couple other things. I mean, I thought Hamilton had a good race. I'm biased. Tsunoda finishing 7th was quite good. Decent weekend overall for the RB or V carb or whatever you want to call it. They had their ups and downs, but Danny finishing 4th in the sprint and then Tsunoda 7th. That's pretty good points for a middle of the pack team. We've got to talk about Kevin Magnussen. This might be the most penalties that someone's ever gotten in one weekend in the history of F1. Like every time he'd pan over, he'd either be causing a wreck, he was holding Lewis in the sprint, which was pissing me off. He got so many penalties in the sprint, and every time he'd come on screen, it's like, oh, another penalty for Kevin Magnussen, another penalty for Kevin Magnussen. Like, I don't know, I think he got at least 5 penalties this weekend, and that's on the low end of, like, I'm sure it was more than 5. Like, he was just causing havoc, and I don't know if it was unsportsmanlike or what. What do you think of his performance this weekend?
I think it's honestly, I was surprised at Lewis's reaction. Not that I thought Lewis was going to be like pissed or like steaming, but I was shocked he was so just chill. He was just like, yeah, it was a little bit more aggressive than I'd prefer, but that's just racing. I was like, whoa. And even K-Mac, he was like, yeah, I was way too aggressive. I deserved all those penalties, but Nico was in P8. I didn't have DRS, and I didn't want them to close the gap to him. So, I mean, he did what he had to do. So I do respect it. While I think it's ethical or practical, no, definitely that's not something that can be done consistently. I also think if you swap Lewis and Kevin, who are 2 very long time experienced F1 racers, and you put, say, Zhou Guanyu and Logan Sargeant, whoever's pulling what Magnussen's pulling as more of a rookie would have gotten way more flack online. That was just like when I was just scrolling Reddit and Twitter, I was like, if this had been like one of the more newer guys, people would be shitting on them so much more. But that is also what K-Mag is kind of known for, so it's not necessarily surprising. But yeah, that was crazy to watch. And I'm pretty sure he got a penalty today too, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. That's what I mean.
Jesus Christ.
Keeps racking up the penalties. So,
oh my God.
And then obviously him and Logan were the ones that had the crash that caused the safety car. So
Jesus
I guess that
Christ.
Lando, but I mean, yeah, he did the holding guys up a couple weeks ago too. I think it was with Lewis again.
Right.
To help out Nico. And I mean, obviously I get playing the team game. But to your point, I think if it was other people, almost anyone else on the grid, they would have gotten a lot more flack. I think people just we all kind of have a bit of a soft spot for Haas. whether it's because of Gunther, even though he's not even there anymore, or just like the kind of shit show that their team has been for years. Everybody kind of wants them to just be a little bit better. And I mean, we like K-Mag and Hulk as people, it seems. So kind of usually give them the benefit of the doubt, but like this can't go on like this. You can't be driving like that all the time.
Yeah. And to Haas's credit, they are the lowest team with points, but P7 for them is definitely better than what they usually are at. So, I mean, I guess if that's what it takes for them to have success, then that's what it takes. But he will get a race ban if he does that at every sprint, which again, that's very particular circumstances. They were double stacked in P8 and P9. So he just made a call and, he just made some really aggressive moves. So it was, I saw a really funny meme. It was parodying the Through Goes Hamilton meme. It was Lewis and Magnussen, and it was, and through goes Sonoda. Because he had that double overtake on them. Yeah. But yeah, the sprint again was, it is a weird contrast because even though there was like a safety car and some issues today, it just felt like everybody was either on a hangover or still drunk from the night before because they were just all over the place. Like not even just K-Mag and Lewis, it just all across the board. People were just making some really crazy moves, which was kind of fun to watch, but didn't really make for that entertaining of a sprint, I guess. But then again, sprints aren't that entertaining to begin with. I do want to ask what you think, just because we haven't really had a chance to discuss this. This has sort of been circulating in the news for the last couple of days. Do you think today was Logan Sargeant's last GP?
I don't know. I mean, it would make sense, I guess, because it was in the U.S. I don't know. I think we don't have that long between now and the next race, so I think it would be, if I had to guess, I would say no, because it's pretty quick turnover.
Yep.
Like who is there like a leading candidate for who would be put in that spot? I know they said next year Kimi, but
Kimi's the rumor for this year too.
That's I don't know. He's not even. He seems he needs a little bit of seasoning.
Agreed. And Toto did say that this weekend. He did kind of put a quietness to that rumor because it would take special approval from the FIA for Kimi to be put in the F1 car. But Toto did say he needs to focus on his F2 stint for this season. But then again, we know how team principals and F1 personalities operate in the media. Everything they say could be a lie. But yeah, I don't think that this was his last race. I think maybe summer break would be a time for them to maybe replace him. I've also seen murmurs about potentially Silverstone because I know Kimi either did a test in Silverstone or is doing a test. I think he already did it, but there was more talks about potentially putting him at Silverstone. So I do agree with you. It's way too early. I think it would potentially be a disservice to him and his career because he could come out and just be an absolute disaster when with proper training and, time, he could be the next Max Verstappen. But then again, Max was thrown in super early. So it's a very weird situation, but I don't think that would be I think putting him in there next season would really be a smart idea, possibly. I've also read that Williams, if they did put Kimi in their car, would want him for a minimum of 2 years. So they would need a 2-year agreement with them, which could line up with Mercedes if they want to train him for a couple of years and then put him in their car. Could be what they're thinking about doing. I don't know, though. I do think Logan's time, whether it's mid-season or this weekend or the end of this season, I do think it's coming to an end because right at the end or right before the post-race show, they showed the page of all of the drivers, and I felt really bad, but it was like the 10, 20, and then they had to do a third page for 21, and it's just Logan Sargeant by himself. And I'm just like, that's rough. That's bad.
Actually, I was just looking at the standings, so I wanted to bring them up. It is kind of interesting. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that have no points this year. Alex Albon, Peter Gasly among them. That's pretty surprising. Ollie Behrman is still 12th in the standings, like one race.
That's those 6 points. Jesus,
it's gonna hold up. But like Max, I mean, he's up by 35 points, which obviously he's gonna win again this season. Not that 35 points is insurmountable, but the battle for second is heating up. Like Perez 101, McLaren 98, Sainz 85. Now Norris is right up there, 83. So pretty decent battle. We don't need to go any further down that or mention anyone else on the other teams. But the battle for the constructors, I mean, I don't know. It's again, Red Bull realistically probably is going to run away with it, but it's still not that big of a gap. Like 48 points or so, if my math is correct. It's not insurmountable by any means, but like there's already becoming a clear top three Red Bull, Ferrari, and McLaren. Mercedes, like just the unfathomably bad season. Like what are they doing? But yeah, McLaren, like they've been very impressive. That package they brought this week obviously it worked out, but yeah, I would like to see. It's kind of bittersweet because I kind of want to see Ferrari winning a few more races so they can at least compete with Red Bull for the constructors. But I'll take a Lando win any day. I think so. These probably then the only winners we've had the last few years: Max, Checo, and Carlos Sainz. So I guess Lando now is the first non-Red Bull or Ferrari driver to win in over 2 years. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I guess since Mercedes. Russell? Yeah, I was going to say since Brazil. That was 2022. So yeah, almost 2 years with 3 guys winning. Because Leclerc, when was Leclerc's last win? It's been a minute.
It has been a while.
Was it before?
We've had a few different sprint guys, but I think
was it before Abu Dhabi? 2021. I'm gonna look this up.
I think he might have. I think he must have won in 2022. No, it must have been in 2021.
So many times.
Yeah, I mean, he never converts.
It actually is crazy. Leclerc only has 3 wins. That's kind of wild to think about. Yeah. Wait. Oh wait, no. Does he have? He has 5. That makes more sense. His last win was Austria 2022. So yes, damn, 2022 was his year. That's right. I'm stupid. I can't believe I didn't even think of that.
They had so many. I mean, their car kept getting shut down. Like they just had horrible issues with like reliability and bad luck and stuff. But
yeah, and they kind of came out in 2022 sort of equal to Red Bull before they really took off. So his last win was Austria 2022, and he had 3 wins in 22, which is crazy. He didn't have a win in 20 or 21, which is kind of wild.
Yeah,
but Lando Norris is now on that list of race winners. It's very wild.
It is. So I guess how many do we have now on the grid? Verstappen's won, Perez has won, Leclerc's won, Sainz has won, Norris has won, Russell's won, Alonso, Hamilton, then
Pierre,
Danny Rick,
Ocon,
Pierre's won. Yeah. So
I always forget about
Ocon. That's more than you think. Yeah, that's more than half the grid has wins. But who do we think the next one to get a win that hasn't in their career? I mean, Piastri?
Yeah, it's got to be Oscar. Unless it's like a newbie that gets thrown into Red Bull or something in 23 or Kimi, like, who knows?
Or, Liam Lawson gets thrown into Red Bull or something.
Yeah. Woo! That gets me excited because I really hope they don't renew Checo's contract. As much as I might sound like a dickhead, but it's just time we need a new start. We need a fresh start, especially with all the changes happening at Red Bull. I mean, again, there's been a lot of stuff happen that we really haven't had a chance to discuss. You know, Newey's confirmed leaving Red Bull. We don't know where he's going to go. Some people think Ferrari. I think Williams. We'll see.
Maybe he'll just retire and ride off into the sunset. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Retirement's also an option. I'm trying to think of maybe some other big headlines that we really haven't had a chance to talk about. Did you see the trailer for that new Senna Netflix? I don't know if it's a series or a movie or a doc or what it was, but the trailer, so cool. The actor they have to play Ayrton Senna, and I don't know if it's CGI or if they got the actual car, but like these high def, really nice, like shots of Senna's McLaren, the iconic McLaren. It is like, I'm so hyped for it. It looks fantastic. So really digging all the F1 content that's been slated.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I didn't know that that there was something coming up, but I have been seeing a lot of Ayrton Senna stuff. I thought it was just because it was like the 30th anniversary of his passing,
right?
But I guess that makes sense, and that's why it is wild. But yeah, no, that's exciting. We're obviously going to look forward to that. I don't know. Is there anything else we wanted to discuss? We got Imola coming up in 2 weeks. That's always always a good weekend.
The next couple of races, like this is honestly my favorite part of the season because
Yeah,
it is banger after banger. We've got
and it's not 3 a.m. races.
exactly. We have Imola, we have Monaco, we've got your home GP, the Canadian GP, Spain, Austria. Oh, I can't wait. And then Silverstone, of course, but
Yeah, yeah.
very exciting.
Belgian GP is always good. Spa, lots of good stuff coming up.
Yeah, I was trying to think because, again, there's been a lot of stuff coming out. The news cycle with Formula One is so wild because some of it's rumors, some of it's legit, and it's all just constantly coming and going. But yes, I do like that, we're recording sort of post race. I do, not that it sort of has, like a similar vibe, but it just, to me at least, like it's obviously fresher. So like everything's sort of bouncing. Like I don't have any notes for today's episode, but I feel like we've been talking as if we've been looking at our notes like we usually do. So that feels really, really nice. Hopefully we will be able to start like live streaming soon during like quali. The sprint kind of made that a little bit difficult this weekend just because it's so constant all weekend. So when we have next, or it'll be the 15th, so 2 weeks, but we'll hopefully be able to do that in Imola. But is there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we wrap up here? It's a bit of a shorter one.
Not really. Yeah, but that's good though for what it is. I think we're still, we'll record podcast episodes like post race, or if any like major stuff happens. But if any like breaking news happens, like with the newy stuff, or even just like post quality, post sprint, we'll be posting on our TikTok and YouTube. So if you're not subscribed to those, or you're just subscribed to the podcast, please subscribe to those and let us know what you think of the instant reaction video. Hopefully, or instant reaction podcast. Hopefully, we can start getting back some of the numbers and stuff that we had lost, which is our own fault. Admittedly, our own fault.
It happens.
It happens. So thanks for those that stuck around with us, though. I think that's about all I've got for this week. It's nice to see your face again.
Yes, it's been a few weeks, but yes, I'm happy to be getting back into this, getting into our normal recording schedule. Obviously, we won't have a race next weekend, but we will be doing an episode probably around the same time we'll release next weekend. So make sure you tune in for that and do whatever you can to help support the show. We don't have anything like Patreon or anything like that, so nothing is monetary. Everything is just word of mouth. So just like, share, follow, and rate on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. Anything you can do is so greatly appreciated by us because we love Formula One and we love talking about it, and we would like to be able to continue to do that. So any support is greatly appreciated, and we really appreciate everybody that listens and watches on whatever platform it is. So we're very grateful for that.